Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rise of Drekis, Chapter 5, Episode, I want to say 5. How you doing today, Jeff?
Hello, great. How are you?
I am good. Are you ready to continue your quest looking for Idria, the Warlock?
Yes.
Excellent. So let's head back to where we were. We were in Pike's Point, way over here on the edge of the map. And you had just spoken to Pod Shazar, who was not super helpful and kind of a dick, but he did give you a couple of good ideas, and you were going to begin your search how?
Well, we're in Pike's Point. Looks like we're going to be doing something like a detective in the modern world would. We gotta follow all the leads, we gotta look for leads, and while we're just in a random Akuban city right now, I don't have a much better lead than a random Akuban city. So, looking for the magic users in Pike's Point to start.
All right. Well, you can ask around. And we've mentioned before that the Kuban Drekisian relationship's not great. And so a Drekisian coming around asking about things is going to cause, it's not going to be as seamless as if you were walking through your home city. If you're walking through your hometown, you could ask people anything you want, and there wouldn't be any problems. You'd just be like, hey, do you know of any magic users? Thanks, buddy. Here's a copper. And then you'd go to that house, and it would be fine. Here, though, you're going to have to find a way to be a little bit more polite about it. A little bit, you're going to have to find a way to deal with the awkwardness of the social encounters of this place. So we can make this a charisma check, but I'd like to give you some modifiers, either positive or negative, based on how you think the best approach for this would be. So how would you, in a place that's not happy about you, navigate gathering information?
Okay, well, in Pike's Point in particular, we've got a pretty knowledgeable guy. So he'll be pointing me to the places directly where I can ask instead of random guys to point me to the place. So we'll start off by knowing, hopefully, which places would employ magic users or where there are gathering of them. And then
that's a great point. You got a contact. You surely must know of someone.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead.
They're not much other than just doing polite greetings, knowing I'm a foreigner, and being tolerant of suspicions, just being polite.
Okay, so I'm going to roll some dice. I know how many wizards and clerics there are in Pike's Point. I'm going to roll a die to see how many Samir knows of. And that'll at least start us off. And then if there are more, we'll figure out how to find them down the road. So Samir knows of one wizard in Pike's Point. This would be what would you call him? The archmage, sort of like the lead. In Drekis, you would have a single ruler who's in charge, and they would have a wizard assistant. In Pike's Point, you have all these different families who are all doing their own things, but you still have a representative of the central family, of the king. And it just so happens that the king's advisor in this place is a wizard named, let's just get a quick little roll for gender over here. Is the counselor is named Hud.
All right. Well, that's good news. Good lead.
All right. And he knows about 5 clerics in the city. I don't know if you need clerics, but we're talking about magic users, so I'm going to give you all the information, and you can decide what to do with it. And these 5 clerics are just sort of at various temples, and you can see the temples in the skyline because they've got minarets. And you can find the temples without too much trouble. And he tells you, I think there's 5 clerics scattered across these 3 temples. 2 here, 2 here, 1 there.
Great. To the archmage.
All right.
I will. Well, before to the archmage, since this is someone who Oh, you just said the name. Remind me. Samir.
Kura.
Since
Oh,
Samir
Samir,
knows in
yeah.
particular, does Samir know what this archmage likes in terms of an welcoming gift or whatnot?
Ooh. Let's give Samir charisma check at advantage, but he doesn't need it when he rolls natural 19s. Samir pauses. He thinks for a moment. And it says, most importantly, this is a representative of the new king. And you are from far away. What this person wants is humility on the edge of begging, but not begging. If you beg, you're seen as weak and worthless. Ride that edge between showing gratitude and subservience, but not so far that you are thrown away. Yes?
Yes. Thank you, Samir.
Yes. Small gift, small ceremonial object of some kind. Doesn't really matter what. You know, maybe 10, 20 gold should be fine. Anything would do. It's more the gesture than the token.
Okay. I
I can
remember-
suggest a marble statue. We have carvers here. A little bust of the king. Little
Yes,
bust of a
Samir.
palm tree.
Sounds great.
Excellent. He'll take your money. He'll charge you 20 gold, and he'll get you this little, carved marble palm tree with a little stand that someone in his, his business will make.
Okay.
They have a few on hand.
Great. With a palm tree statue in hand, well, in a nice box, I will go to this archmage.
Excellent. You can find the archmage in the palace that represents the central family. Have my notes open. There will be a bit of a wait. You gotta show up. They take audiences with people from time to time. It's gonna be. It's not an immediate access, but we're just gonna hand wave the time in between because it doesn't really matter if it takes an hour or a day. Just need. Need the name. Name is Gildarin. That's the lead faction. Okay. Excellent. You can come and speak with Hud Gildarin, leader in this area, representative of the Gildarin family. Bodhi Gildarin is the current king. He is married. Just as some side information that may or not be helpful for you. We'd mentioned before the Akuban family, that the Akuban the system is broken into these different families, and he is from the family that runs the treasury. There is also a family, the Questari family, which is made up of half-elves. Now, half-elves are, they're infertile. You can have an elven parent and a human parent, but you cannot have kids yourself. And so the Questari family is all the half-elves kind of get together and make their own family and adopt each other all around. They have really long lives. They're the rangers of the Akuban society. They manage hunting and poaching. They keep tabs on monsters that might be moving around. They maintain maps of the wilds as rivers come and go and tell you where you might need new bridges and everything like that. And in the Akuban Civil War that recently happened, Bodhi Gildarin ended up marrying, in order to secure his position, a half-elven woman named Nova Questari. As we said before, half-elves are infertile, so this is a bit of a tension point. This was a marriage that needed to like merge two families in order to win the Civil War, but there's been some question as to like how this union is going to continue when, like, you know, half-elves can't have kids. Anyway, just some backstory.
Well, while you have some backstory, I have some random backstory questions.
Oh, yeah.
Since I happen to have come from a campaign where we learned about the fate of the elves, have I seen any elves at all during my trip back to Drekis or during my trip to Akuban?
No full-blooded elves, but you have seen the occasional half-elf. There's not a lot of them, but they do live a long time, so they kind of pile up around you.
What is a long time?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think it's like 30% longer than a human or 50% longer than a human. Let's see. Oh, no, it's a lot longer. Their lifespan is usually around 200 to 280 years. So it's like 2.5 times that of a human, maybe even 3 times it. A human's lifespan is about 100 years, 80 years? I think it's about 80 years. So 3.5 times that of a human. So the half-elves stack up over the ages.
Okay. I know this is fairly recent knowledge. Has it been any public talk yet that elves have disappeared and or that half-elves will therefore eventually become extinct?
That the elves have left their ancestral homeland is known, but by and large, most people don't care. Like, their homeland is somewhere far away. They're always kind of a quiet, keep to themselves sort of thing. It's a minor curiosity, but no one really, like, the average person doesn't give a shit. But it is a public knowledge thing. As for the idea that half-elves in the area are just going to die out, I don't think you've heard anyone talking about it. No one really seems to care. But that is a very good point. The half-elves will become increasingly rare as time goes on.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Any other questions?
That's it.
All right. Well, time passes, and eventually you get your meeting with Hud Gildarin. You're in this comfortable, cool palace room. You know, there's some large fans that hang from the walls that are operated by servants. There is this wizard here, Hud Gildarin, sitting in, I don't know, comfortable, you know, white silk robes with black trim around the edges and like a little red symbol of the family on his lapel. There's some other people standing around, like a couple of bodyguards, a vizier, or what's the term for the the counselor, something like that, who keeps an eye and helps advise these things. And then some other people who have come to ask questions and who have recently asked questions and are sticking around. So there's maybe 30 people in this room, including multiple armed guards. And of course, the person you're talking to is a wizard, so, you know.
Okay. I'll start by walking to the proper spot to start speaking to him, giving a deep bow, and then I'll say hello. I'll speak in the Akuban tongue, as it's only polite. Hello, I've come a long way. My name is Vincent Mapper from Drekis, and I've come to seek your wise counsel regarding an individual.
Well. And a Drekisian here seeking my counsel. What an unusual day. Please continue.
Yes, thank you for receiving me. I have a gift for you. I present the box for someone to take to him, I suppose.
Yep. The chamberlain, vizier, counselor person will come over and pick up the box, walk it halfway between the two of you, open it just to make sure there's not like a trap that's going to blow up when you open it or something, because, you know, magic world, you never know.
Yep.
And then present it, you know, opened in the direction of Hud, who will pick up the little statue, turn it over in their hands, smile at it, set it back in the box and say, thank you for the gift. Now tell me, what is it that you have come to ask?
So over Over the last few months, I have been around Pikes Point and learned some about Cuban culture. I am after someone who appears to be from Akuba and is causing some trouble in Drekisian land. So, in order to solve this problem, I have been sent to find out information about him. I have no. He is a magic user. However, I have no need to talk to the Mok Shazar family. Is that right? I think that's right. Okay,
That's good. Good.
because we know where he is. We just would like to know about his background. He seems to be a magic user, so someone with your connections may be able to know a bit about his history.
If I understand this correctly, a person of a Cuban origin is causing problems in Drekis, and Drekis has reached out to us in order to resolve things peacefully.
Yes, that is correct.
What has caused this sudden change of heart in the way things are done?
There are two things. One, it's just simply been so long. Many Drekisians don't even remember why they disliked Akubans. Over time, it may be time to bury the hatchet. Secondly, I'm aware that you've recently had a war amongst each other. Perhaps it is time for the new administration to mend ties with Drekis.
We had been upon that journey once upon a time. That path had begun to be walked. But I do recall a Cuban princess who was two Cuban princesses and two Cuban princes who were captured and murdered by, I just guess it doesn't matter who, but Drekisians, not 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, the last decade or so.
Oh, is this knowledge I know about?
Not really. I don't think you know. This is sort of, what?
Oh, yeah, I look surprised. What? Do tell me more.
Is this not common knowledge?
It is not.
The last king was murdered. His family destroyed. His surviving heirs fled Akuba, looking for safety. Arriving in your lands, I do believe, whereupon they were kidnapped and cut down. Your queen failed to protect them. I'm sorry, your empress failed to protect them. Their belongings taken. No, granted, they were the offspring of the failed king, and at the time of their deaths, they were outcasts from society, which does mitigate some responsibility, but nonetheless, deaths at the hands of your disruptors, your born-again Vorasi troublemakers, is not a fate they deserved.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Do I get the sense that this was a cover-up from Drekis, given that it's been very public information that I'm going to a Kuban, and I should know a little bit about history?
You know, someone, like, you are poking around here, and nobody said, by the way, a couple of Akuban princes and princesses were captured and murdered. No one told you. Whether that's a cover-up or an oversight or they just don't care, that's for you to decide. But, you know, if this guy's telling the truth, then, I mean, you're in that audience chamber with everyone who was important, and they all would have known, probably. Yeah. So...
My apologies, I say. I was not aware of this. I am glad that in your mind you feel that this is a rough patch that can be smoothed over. Um, I apologize.
Well, that's good to hear. I accept your apology on behalf of our king. Now, this man you come to seek information of, this Akuban who has hurt your people.
Yes, his name is Idrea. I look for recognition in his face. I look around the council. He claims to be a warlock, but I suspect. I also look for like recognition of like warlock. Maybe this fanciful tale in their mind.
Yeah, why don't you give me one charisma check for when you say Adria and one charisma check for when you say warlock.
Sure. First one Idrea, second one warlock. Wow.
Wow, that's a really good check. Right. So it's very clear that he doesn't know the name Idrea. And you're not sure if he knows anything about warlocks. Like, his face was pretty flat and unassuming when you said Idria. And when you said warlock, he, happened to turn and look at someone, but it's hard to tell if, like, they had moved and caught his attention, or if that was, like, a look towards someone like, hey, warlock, pay attention. It's unclear.
Yes, and I'll, on seeing him not react to that, I'll give a bit more of a description. Idrea is quite a recognizable character, and I give him a description that hopefully you'll give in a short way of describing it, so I can write it down for my notes to how to describe him in the future.
Yes, Idria. 5'11", 160 pounds, 62 years old. He has glowing red eyes and a forked tongue. He has black and red scales across his neck and hands. Old, wrinkly, scraggly white hair.
Yes, I'll give him that description. That sounds very distinct.
This is a most unusual creature.
Was the Akuban connection anything to do with, skin color, or just the fact that he spoke Akuban?
It was more about the accent he had.
Okay.
The difference in skin tone between Akuba and Drekis is pretty minor. Far, far north Akuba has a different skin tone than far south Drekis, but it's sort of like the Mediterranean,
Yeah. All right.
Turkey, Greece, Italy, Spain. It's all kind of the same.
Cool.
Akuban monsters are most certainly a problem. It would be bad for business, bad for our appearances if someone of one of our kind has develops such traits and goes about causing problems. What sort of problems did you say these were? Are they a murderer, a serial killer? You said warlock? Are they raising the undead?
And think about, I've thought about how much to divulge, and I guess I'll divulge it all. They have taken over the Spice Islands, and they are claiming to summon a dragon that lies underneath it.
Surely you're joking. Summon a dragon.
I shake my hands. I believe there is a dragon that lies underneath, and Indeed, if that dragon were to be freed from its prison under the island, I fear it would be bad for all of us.
He thinks he's going to make a wisdom check to see if he is a good leader or a reckless leader.
Yes. You have probably heard about the tales of destruction of Scoria. I don't know if that hurt Akuba at all, but...
We have heard, and we are grateful for the sacrifice of many Drekisian lives in bringing down this red monstrosity. It is time, I believe, for hatchets to be put in logs. Our two great peoples have had our troubles with one another, but under new guidance in this new age, perhaps a little bit of cooperation could go a long way. We do not wish for war to spark out between our nations. We are both primed and ready, weapons and soldiers at hand, still fresh from the slaughter. I do not know this Idria fellow, but monsters and the tracking thereof is a principal activity of our royal family. I shall reach out to the Questari. Please come back in 2 days' time, and we will see what they have to say.
My deepest thanks. I give a deep vow. I will return in 2 days.
All right. And with that, you can hang and listen to more, conversations if you want to get more of a vibe on who this HUD fellow is, or you can just peace out and go do something else with your time.
Sure, I'll hang out and listen about the day-to-day troubles of Pikes Point and about HUD.
Yeah, it's pretty mundane stuff. Most of the things that are coming here have to do with like policy and administration, things that you're quite familiar with. There's a little bit of sort of shuffling about, how would we say? I reached out to this family that's in charge. Let me give a more better example. I reached out to someone will come out and say, I reached out to the Baladin family because one of the small shrines isn't being upkept, and they said that, that shrine doesn't need to be upkept. And I think it does, and I'm trying to go over the Baladin family's heads to see if we can't get some resources to rebuild the shrine. And HUD will be very clear that there's a, clear responsibility. If the Baladins say that there's no need to upkeep the shrine, then there's no need. Have faith in them, it will all be fine. And someone else will come along and say, the Sparksteel family, the dwarves in charge of the armory, have vastly reduced their orders for weapons and armor. My business relies on selling weapons and armor, and without further purchases, it will devastate my business. We were asked to specialize in these tools for the sake of war, and now here we've overbuilt things, and if we don't get paid for this, we will be driven into the ground. We're in debt. We need these government contracts. Please go to the Sparksteel family and tell them that they need to fulfill these contracts. And this sort of just procedural administrative nonsense. Overall, you get the impression that HUD is a fairly inquisitive person who likes to know lots and lots of little details before rendering a verdict. And he does seem to be a stickler for... What's the word when you tell someone else to take responsibility? Not delineation, delegation. A stickler for delegation. But other than that, he seems a likable and responsible individual.
Cool. Do I get the sense of how powerful an archmage is in terms of wizarding powers?
Archmage defines like your role in society. It means that you are the most, you are the one who's in charge, or you are the one who is, the advisor. So it typically carries a higher level role, but in theory, if you're like a backwater noble, you could have a first level archmage. Now this is not a backwater. This is Pike's Point. If this were similar to one of your towns, if you were like in Outlast or Fenden or something, you would expect the archmage to be at least 5th level, maybe 6th, possibly 7th, but that would be a little bit, that would be a little unusual. Maybe an older archmage, unlikely to be 4th. So probably 5 or 6, maybe 4, maybe 7. Anything beyond that would be a little bit surprising. In a village, you would definitely expect like level 2, 3, or 4. That said, this nation was just at civil war. So either this person participated and gained a lot of experience during the war and is now like much higher level, or all the good wizards were killed off and like this is the best that they could produce, and so maybe a little bit lower level. At this point in time, it's actually pretty nebulous. Under normal circumstances, 5 or 6.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Well, I find myself, taking interest in their day-to-day, and I plan to come back in 2 days if there's nothing else to be had.
All right. You can listen, but you've got everything that you need now. And let's come back in a few days. Let's shell out another 4 gold for 2 days of lodgings in town. Money will eventually run out one day. It always does.
Yes, shelled.
All right, 2 days later, we have the same room, but today's not an audience day. Today is just a private meeting with you, HUD, and let me get a member of the Questari family over here. Another. Eldalvi Questari. Eldalvi Questari is here with his names are so hard for me to remember. HUD Gildarin.
Okay, and just so I'm not ignorant about Akuba and Drekis' recent events, I will ask my man Samir about the 2 Akuban princes and princesses, and if he could regale me in the story of their disappearance.
Ah, a tragic tale. One I am so surprised you do not know. This story is famous in Akuba. How can it be that you do not know?
I'm surprised as well. It seems the information has not really been spread in Drekis.
The Harazim family ruled Akuba for many generations. However, on a trip to Mystria, before the dragon was slain, our great king was slain. He was murdered, assassinated. His 4 children, Budarios, Sarah, Maya, and Sammy, were deemed unfit for the throne by the other families. Soon, sides were taken and a civil war broke out. It is the cause of the war is the death of this king, and his children fled to the edges, disappeared, were chased some ways by various factions. Last they were heard of, they had made it all the way to the Wicker Throne in Drekis. And there, I do believe, now, this is not confirmed, this is rumor, but they say your queen offered the hand of one of her children to the hand of one of these Akuban princes and princesses. That a merger of the two families was going to occur for the betterment of the world. Only for weeks later, the 4 children of King Harazim to be captured and cut down.
Wow, horrible.
Yes. Now, they say there are many rumors. There are rumors that Maya Harazim was to marry one of your queen's sons. There's the rumor that Budarios, the eldest, was going to marry one of your queen's daughters. It's said that they were all killed. Yet another story is that Maya the Rogue, Maya Harazim, stabbed her siblings in the back because she was unhappy. That Budarios was going to marry the Drekisian princess and she wanted it for her own, and so she killed the others so that she may instead marry your queen. But then marry your queen's child, and then your queen, seeing such a fearsome display of treachery, cut down Maya Harazim herself with her spells. And yet, there is another story that Sammy, the conjurer, managed to escape at the last moment and is far, far away from now, building an army so that he may come back and reconquer Akuba in his family's name. It is also said, and again, all rumors, that Sarah Harazim, the cleric, was not killed because who would kill a cleric of Martha, goddess of life and creation? One could not do that, and so Sarah Harazim was captured for some time and freed by some knights and has returned to Akuba, but lays in hiding, unwilling to unmask herself.
Wow, such fascinating information that I have somehow not heard about. Thank you, Samir.
How is it that this is not common knowledge? Every child of Akuba knows the story of the Drekisian, the fall of the Harazim family, the assassins in Mystria, the murders in Drekis. This is a cultural touchstone.
I apologize for my ignorance. The stories seem to not have spread in Drekis, but sounds like they would be fascinating tales indeed.
Yes. Well, here it is another example of how the outside world always seeks to conspire against us.
Great.
Okay, cool. Well, meeting with Eldalvi, that's an A, not a U. Eldalvi Questari and Hud Gildarin. And, some bodyguards and counselors and all that jazz, back in that same little palace. Sitting down, they'll bring a chair for you this time, and a small table, and everyone will sit much, much closer instead of quite so far apart.
Take my seat. Thank you for welcoming me back. I hope you have news.
Eldari Questari. His fingers tapping together. You can see long lines across his face, letting you know that he's an older elf, probably a few hundred years old at this point. Taps his fingers together and says, I did know a man once by the name Idria, but he was no warlock. And he was no true Akuban. How much do you know of Akuban geography and demographics?
I will ask you how much I know of it. I am a mapper.
Mapper. That's a good point. Why don't you make me an int check, and we'll see if you know this story.
All right.
You do have cause to know. So you're familiar with the geography, but maybe not so much the like cultural demographics.
Okay.
And Eldalvi Questari will tell you that Okuba is a land. It's one great kingdom, but there are pockets of others. There are barbarians, there are coastal raiders. Upon the Red Coast, this section over here, he says, pointing on a map, is a group of people who speak the Akuban tongue, but refuse to show their fealty to the Akuban Empire, the Akuban Kingdom. These people along the Red Coast are small fishermen, small bandits, and small-time raiders that mostly raid upon your islands. And you've heard of these people from the Red Coast, but, you know, from your point of view, they're just Akuban. This guy's trying to make it off like they're not. They're like an outside group. The man known as Idria was a cleric along the Red Coast. A cleric on the Red Coast who betrayed Akuba. Those people on that section of desert, that inhospitable section of desert, they joined with your Empress during the last war. They joined with her nephew, the cleric of Velthara. And this Idria is one of them. If it is the same Idria. He did not have the scales that you spoke of, nor the red eyes, nor the forked tongue. He was a man in his 50s back then.
I clarify just to make sure my knowledge of what he just said was right. Did the Red Coast join Drekis for some time?
I think that is too small and insignificant of a population for you to be aware of, maybe, unless your character was super into all of the politics.
No.
Why don't you give me an int check, because you are well educated and fairly smart. You've never heard about this. It sounds like bullshit. It sounds like someone is lying.
Sure.
This Idria was a cleric of Velthara who joined with your Empress's nephew during the war. He is not our man, if it is the same man. He is your man. Your Anton Megari brought him into the fold. Your current King Imric Megari of Mystria and his pet Golden Dragon are the owners of this Idria. Not me. Not us.
Oh.
Whatever responsibilities, whatever evils he has done on behalf of your people.
I see. I'm just taking some notes. That was Anton McGarry and which other McGarry?
Imric. Imric is the current king. Anton was his brother who died fighting the Red Dragon.
Yes, Imric McGarry was the very high-level wizard I met.
Yeah, he was the one who said, well, unleash me, queen. Let me just go bombard the island with fireballs and it'll be done.
And he hails from Mystria now?
He's the current king of Mystria, but he's Drekisian like you.
Got it.
Eldalvi Questari sits back, taps his fingers together. So you see, there's no reason to come bothering us about this man. Certainly no reason for war.
I see that. I very much agree.
Splendid.
Your information has been invaluable. I thank you. If you ever need something of Drekis, I am sure that we can provide help in kind, and perhaps with time, our nations will come together and bury the hatchet, at least.
Hud Gildarin nods his head up and down and says, Perhaps you would deliver a message to your Empress on our behalf. One saying the very same things we have told you. It would reassure me that this friction point were resolved. If this friction point were smoothed over, and I could know for certain that the Empress received our sympathies.
I will do so. I am sure Empress Wick will be pleased by how helpful you've been.
He produces a already written and sealed letter with a little stamp on it, the sort of wax seal that you'd have to break in order to read the message, and hands it over to you. Do you need assistance in getting home across the sea?
Just because I am curious on how they would offer it, I will say perhaps. What could you do?
We shall put you on one of the Tezrohan ships. A small little vessel that can make its way from Pike's Point to Outlast or sail the coast all the way to Kershwick if need be. We would be happy to provide you transportation out of the kingdom.
Do I know what a Tezrohan is?
It's the family in charge of like shipbuilding, bridge and road assessment and maintenance, management of docks, that sort of thing. It's just there.
Do I know what happens if an Akuban ship sails up to Outlast?
Alarms get sounded, people get kind of nervous, but you can run flags, and you can run a flag saying like, hold on, we're here for peaceful reasons, and there'll be a little bit of tension. The Outlasters really are really unhappy about this, but it's a manageable situation if the Akubans are chill enough.
Got it. Okay. Not a common occurrence then.
Super uncommon, but doable.
Okay. Thank you for your offer. I believe I could find another way. Most appreciative, though.
Oh, do you have other business in Akuba?
Yes, we are in the midst of starting the very early parts of trade, and as such, I have been provided transport.
May I ask, says HUD, who it is that is operating this trade and what goods are being moved?
Yes, I'll give him full information about that one.
Okay. He's curious, but he doesn't protest or cause any problems. He just listens to the information.
Yeah, that would be... Our contact here is Samir. He is an excellent marblesmith. He is the person who has crafted this masterwork for you, referring to the gift from yesterday. And my boss lord, Richard Marshall, is beginning to trade with such a fellow.
I don't recall seeing any Drekisian ships in the harbor.
Yes, because we know how that might be received, we have sent a more neutral party to collect the goods.
It is understood. And I think that's all the information they want, and I think you have the information you want, so unless there's anything else, we can move on.
Great.
All right. Goodbyes are said appropriately. You can head back to your place of rest. We'll take a short break, and when we come back on the other side, we'll see what else is happening in Raj. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rise of Drekis. Vincent Mapper, what are you going to do? More importantly, do you trust these people? They've essentially said, our problem is not our problem. It's all your problem, and it's your fault, and your queens nephew is responsible for everything.
I have found Akuba to be a surprisingly pleasant place, and they have been mostly helpful every single time and correct. So I don't necessarily see a reason to go against any of this. I will have asked, since they offered transport, I'll ask the question of what happens if an Akuban vessel shows up at the Red Coast? What if, can you take me there?
The people of the Red Coast are small fishermen, small raiders. They would have no recourse against a armed and prepared vessel of the Tezrohan family.
I see. So, suppose it was a small vessel. I am not asking you to send such a mighty vessel. Are they neutral to Akuba? Openly hostile? Friendly? I just shrug.
Eldalvi Questari says, many of the locals upon that coast have moved to your riverlands to provide protection and live in your McGarry family estates. Those that have remained continue their way of life, farming, fishing, raiding. They know better than to cause problems with the Empire, with Akuba. It would not do them well. But you who are your own man, I cannot say for certain what they would do to you. They would not attack a vessel, most likely. But you are not a Kuban. I cannot say for certain.
I'm not, and I'm going to think about my own knowledge of geography for a moment. So, King Imric McGarry rules over Mystria. Is that near the Red Coast?
I'm going to bring us to a bigger map, and we're going to get a zoomed out view. Okay. So if you zoom out far enough to see most of the world at once.
Yeah.
This section right here, this is Mystria that I'm defining with this ruler.
Okay.
So it's not really near the Red Coast. It's sort of near the Red Coast. The king here is the Empress's nephew, and he has a family estate. Like, his family owns this section of territory. Aside from him being king there, like, this is his family's personal holdings. So his family has land near the Red Coast, but he is king and mostly resides over here.
Okay,
And
so when they talk about the people from the Red Coast settling near the McGarry lands, that would be in that green area.
Yeah, just over here. Yeah. It's also worth knowing that the McGarry family is pretty much just one person at this point. Everyone else in it is dead or fled. And Imric McGarry is currently wifeless and childless.
Got it. Imric McGarry. Anton McGarry was mentioned. Is he dead?
He is dead. He is Imric McGarry's younger brother. He was a cleric, a very powerful cleric of Velthara, the goddess of vengeance. And he died fighting Scoria, the red dragon.
Is there any public opinion polling on how McGarry is considered? Imric McGarry.
There were three brothers. There was Imric, who's alive, Anton, who is dead, and Tyrael, who was supposed to be king in Mystria, but then he just walked away one day. Like, he literally just disappeared. I think he left a note saying, like, it's all yours now, Imric, and just fucked off. These three people are considered, like, great heroes. They're the ones who killed the red dragon Scoria. They're the ones who essentially won the war for the kingdom. They are the most well-respected, most powerful people in the land. They're like, 14th, 15th level.
Okay. Behind closed doors, is Imric McGarry known as a cruel ruler?
He's
a vengeful...
No. He's a very powerful wizard who, like, when he was younger, he was just kind of like a drunken layabout who had no real prospects. And then over many years, he turned into this great wizard. But now he's, like, saddled with all this responsibility. He's a person who has become a great hero, but the cost to his person was high. He lost all of his family, his mother, his father, his brothers. He's just sort of like sad and isolated, and he doesn't want to be a responsible king. He wants to like be a wizard who can do wizard stuff, but he has to like rule this kingdom who doesn't even want to be ruled by a Drekisian. And it's really hard work. And he's very sort of socially isolated and alone, and the burdens of leadership weigh really, really heavily upon his shoulders. So he's not cruel, but he's sort of like tired and frustrated and socially isolated. He seems to have a lot of trouble making friends these days, and when people hang out near him, I mean, he's a really powerful wizard who has a pet gold dragon, essentially. But everyone just gets this, like, uncomfortable feeling around him. Like, there's something, there's something about him that people who spend a lot of time near him prefer not to. They prefer to, I don't know, maybe it's just that he's a powerful wizard. Maybe he just knows too much. Maybe he's using a lot of mind reading spells, and so people just get really uncomfortable when he knows too much about them. Whatever it is, he drives people away. But he's not necessarily a bad person.
Okay. Then... Aldavi Questari, I believe I will be taking your generous offer. Perhaps I could commission a small transport to the Red Coast, to where you believe I can find out more information about this Idria.
Eldalvi Questari looks at Hud Gildarin, and Hud says, I would not want to leave you abandoned on the coastline, and we cannot afford to cater a vessel to your every whim. Transportation across the sea on a known route is one thing. If you would like, we could leave you on the Red Coast with no way home, but that seems ungentlemanly. It's an inhospitable land. Very, very little rainfall. No rivers to speak of. Water is a precious resource. It's difficult to leave by foot.
I see. Well then, this will be asking quite the kindness, but you are asking me to deliver a note to the Empress. Perhaps you could leave a vessel docked at the Red Coast for me then. For I fear if I show up in a Drekisian vessel, they will shoot it down, would they not?
Eldalvi speaks up. Are they not your own Empress's men? Why would they harm the people to whom they swear their fealty?
I do not know if you are aware of this, but we refer to the Red Coast... correct me if I'm wrong. We refer to the Red Coast as a bunch of raiders, and they harass Drekisian lands.
Still, to this day?
Yes.
Are they not servants of your own King McGarry?
They are not. I am surprised to learn that they are exiles from your land.
That sounds most unusual. Perhaps a trip home where you can sort out the nature of these people on the coast would be prudent. if you insist. Well, would it not be good to make sure that letter gets to the Empress? I would hate for something to happen to you on the Red Coast and
Do
the
not worry.
knowledge of our conversation to die.
Do not worry. The transport that has been arranged for me, I am sure he can deliver a message. And I will leave behind my personal message as well, such that if I fall in the Red Coast, your message will be delivered. But this is an opportunity I cannot pass up. An opportunity to land in the Red Coast with a Cuban vessel. I do not know of any way else that I would be able to land on the Red Coast.
So be it. I shall arrange such a vessel for you in 3 days' time. Says HUD.
My thank yous.
All right. Anything you want to do in Pike's Point before 3 days have passed?
I will drop off the letter with the person who's arranged to send me back home from the Pike's Point. I'll
Great.
add my own letter to it, saying I'm traveling to the Red Coast. I'll add some detail about how Akuba considers the Red Coast. I believe they said exiles of Akuba.
Just sort of like a different tribe, just like
Okay.
Locals, like the Sami people in Norway.
Got it. I let them know that the Red Coast is not considered a Cuban territory. I add the surprising realization that they consider the Red Coast to be Drekisian land.
Okay. Interesting. These messages can be written and left for transport, and in 3 days' time and 6 gold of sleeping fees, you can head off for the Red Coast.
Right? Oh, I bet this was a curveball.
Yes, there are lots of curveballs, dude.
I didn't expect to find out so much information. Excellent.
Yeah, well, I made a bunch of rolls in between sessions, and yeah. There were 6 wizards in Pike's Point, and he rolled just a 1 on the d6. And if he had rolled more, you would have had lots of different people, and maybe you could have taken, a longer route to get here. But obviously, he knows the one obvious wizard, which happened to, it just sometimes sometimes.
And here I thought we'd be looking for a needle in a haystack, but the haystack has made its way to be pretty big here.
All right, it is
The needle,
let's
rather.
see.
Yes.
Yes, big needle, small haystack, apparently. 60.
No need to go through all of the Akuban lands. Let's just go right to the Red Coast.
Yeah. Right there. So it'll be on the 15th of March that you arrive in the early AM at the section of the Red Coast. Now, the Red Coast is a large area, right? It's not just a single village. It's a series of small villages and huts, fishing ports and the such. It's not, one particular spot. So as your ship is arriving in the area and you're told that, we are entering the zone known as the Red Coast. It's a pretty big area, it's like 30 miles long almost.
Yes, I'd hoped to get a more precise lead on where I could find where that man had learned about Idrea from, and to try to land near there.
Okay, I'm going to just do a single die roll between the directions given by Eldalvi plus the navigational abilities of your person to follow. Actually, it'll be 2 die. 1 for Eldalvi's accuracy of information. That's really good. And 1 for the navigator's ability to get you there. That is middle of the road. Okay. So you're looking for Idria. You're told it's in one of these little fishing villages that has a... Oh, what do you call it? When you've got like a harbor and you extend some rocks into the water to create like a still area. What is that rock extension by a harbor called?
I do not know the name of this.
It's a thing that makes a harbor. What do you call it?
I didn't even know that was a thing. That's amazing.
Yeah, you'll have like they'll build something into the water to block off a concave area, convex area, so that it's like mostly surrounded. It's not a pier. Is it a K? No, a K is the shape. There's a term for this thing. A breakwater, I guess is what it's called. Yeah. So it's one of these villages that has a man-made breakwater of large rocks and sand that have been put into place.
During our trip there, I idly talked with the crew and asked them what they think of people on the Red Coast. Just to get the common opinion about the Red Coast.
Yeah. Well, 4 people will just tell you that these are pretty good raiders, sort of how people might view Vikings, sort of like heroic people who go and take what they want and, sort of romanticizing their violent tendencies and the joys of sailing at sea, just, hopping into a village, stealing their gold, taking their cattle or their sheep and their women and running back. And then 2 people will be like, well, they're sort of just backwater peasants who have no real industry and have no ability to make anything. They're essentially glorified goblins who can't do anything on their own, and so they need to take it from other people because they're incapable.
Do any Akubans ever come to the Red Coast?
Nah, is the general consensus. There's nothing there for us. It's a piece of shit coastline of the desert. They don't make anything. I guess maybe if you wanted to trade for stolen goods, someone might do it, but okay. Other than that.
Got it.
Okay. Well, here you are, sitting out. There is a village before you with a man-made breakwater around it. Unknown if this is the one or if this is just one of the villages with the breakwater, but it matches the rough description you've got.
Okay. Idria was described as a former cleric of which god?
Velthara, goddess of vengeance.
Velthara, goddess of vengeance. Is this a pretty known god across the lands?
Yes. Anton McGarry, the famous hero, was also a cleric of vengeance. And so she has become quite the symbol in Drekis. Vengeance against the evil red dragon, vengeance against the Mystrians, vengeance against the Matavans. It was a big cultural point leading up to the end of the war, and then in a few years after the war. But the queen has tried to put a bit of a damp on it and be like, hey, we don't the war is over. We got our vengeance. The vengeance has been got, everybody. Calm down.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, well known, well respected, especially in this time and place.
Wow, that's I'm asking for quite a bit of backstory here, but this Empress Wick, can you remind me on how she came to power? Seems like she's trying to calm down this vengeance thing, which is a good thing.
Oh, her family's ruled Drekis for generations. Yeah, she's just been around for a long, long time.
Okay, and she just happened to be in charge when everything went right for Drekis.
Yeah. I mean, it started with things going... We're going to zoom out to the big map one more time and just do a quick overview of how this war came to be. because it seems like it might be useful for you. So looking at the big map, on the far right side, this huge landmass section over here, this is Eridon. And this used to be one big unified kingdom. They were like the big dog of Arcadia. They were the power. And then, for unknown reasons, one day, somewhere in this southern section, a whole bunch of demons appeared, like an army of demons appeared literally out of nowhere, taking everyone by complete surprise. And they destroyed like everything down here. And they made their way up, and they like began to sort of siege the capital a little bit. And they made their way up here, and they went towards this place, this holy site known as Heatstroke. But the army was cut off at some part. Like, you know, there was a finite number of them. And between all the combat here and all the combat up here, and the count who lived in Fortune, who, you know, was able to raise an army and help fight them, the demons sort of petered out and it ended. But in the process, it destroyed it destroyed the structure of this great kingdom. Half the place was destroyed, and, you know, people slaughtered, refugees, food crisis. The kingdom just crumpled under the impact of such destruction. And Mystria, this kingdom that used to be ruled by an evil red dragon, hopped over the Grand Canal and started to loot the remains, because the demons didn't loot anything. And Drekis did the same thing, except they came from the other side. And so Mystria looted, and Drekis looted. And somewhere in the middle, they began to fight over loot. And the Mystrians started, you know, the Mystrians were the one who when the two scouting parties met, the Mystrians just attacked the Drekisians and began fighting them over here, which started the war between Mystria and Drekis. Goes on for a few years. Drekis wins in the end. Mystria loses. Their big red dragon dies. And so now y'all in charge. So yes, she was just the queen when this terrible event over here set off a series of catastrophic downfalls, and then Drekis just happened to be the winner of the war.
Okay.
And by happened, I mean they're clearly the superior group with the better armies and the better skills, and, you know, they had more money. They weren't being oppressed by a dragon. They were the destined winners, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Clearly, Eridon must have done something to incur this demon invasion. Like, they must have been doing meddling in dark magics or who knows what. Some Eridonian must have caused some problem, tampered with something too great. Yeah.
I've learned such a thing in wizarding school. There are some schools of magic you just don't touch.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the history of how the queen, we came to be in the state that we are, and how the queen came to be who she is.
And how Drekis rose.
Yes. Now, if only we could get these spice islands under control. So, here you are. Red Coast, small village, breakwater. What's the plan?
Simple. We'll dock. We'll have them docked until I found out information about Idria by asking these villagers about information, and then we'll leave happy with all the information we've gathered.
Great.
After finding out everything about Idria.
Yeah, your boat pulls up. It goes into that little harbor area. There's a singular dock with some other things on it. You can pull your boat up close enough that a small rowboat can be dispatched to the shore. And along the shore, we'll line up a whole bunch of local raiders. You know, they're wearing like leather armbands and wrists. Yeah, what do you call it? Leather armor on their limbs, but not so much on their chest because it's really freaking hot here, and you don't want to wear armor all the time. They've got spears, they've got swords. No one's wearing any war paint or anything like that, but they show up armed and ready to meet this person. And you're on a rowboat. There's one other person who's doing the actual rowing, who's bringing you to shore, and the person that is rowing you to shore.
And Kura.
Oh, that's right. It's you and Kura. And Cora's just a little bit nervous because she doesn't speak a Kuban, right? She's just like hanging out as all these weird things are happening.
But we're trusting a Kuban. I'll have asked, do these people on the Red Coast speak both the Kuban and Drekisian?
Definitely a Kuban. Maybe some of them speak Drekisian. Maybe they are raiders. It helps to speak the other language when you raid, and they might have a line. You know, they might be aligned with Drekis.
Yeah,
Definitely a Kuban. Who knows about the Drekisian?
great. We roll on casually to the raiders.
You put in on the ground, and quickly there are like 6 spearmen who come up and do a nice little semicircle around you. Spears not pointed directly at you, but also, you know, clearly ready, both hands on weapons. And an older woman will step forth between their ranks and in the Akuban tongue say to you, outsider, what brings you to our coast?
I wave, say, hello, I am Vincent. In a Kuban, I have traveled from Pike's Point to your village to find out information about a certain individual.
And find out you shall.
Name
him.
Thank you for the welcoming party, I say. I am... it will help to lead me to the worship, the nearest place of worship of Velthara, where I feel they will have more information. But I'm looking for information about Idria.
Do you seek vengeance?
Yes.
Vengeance shall find you. And she will motion for the guards to let you through and lead you through the little tiny village, maybe, 30 huts. Too small of a village to really build a breakwater, but they do have it somehow. To where there is a small shrine over which there has been like there's like a little mud brick house, but it's only got 3 walls and a roof. The 4th wall is just kind of open. And inside is a small mud brick little shrine with a little clay mud statue of the goddess Velthara. And a little mat in front of it that you could kneel on and pray to, and some little all red mud cups on either side of her where you could put offerings, and a section for you to light, put little candles, a lot of candle wax that has dripped down and around her, and a dagger that rests like ceremoniously into the wall beside the statue.
All right. Seems like Velthara is pretty big in Drekisian culture. Do I know what Velthara likes in terms of sacrifices? Or offerings, I should say.
It's a good question. I don't think I don't think you know of any particular, like, this is the specific offering. The gods in general are just, they like offerings, anything to get their attention, anything that would show that you value them. Sort of like, if you want to make an offering at dinner time to the gods, you might cut like a small section of the best cut of meat and offer it up to the gods. And then you would take everything else for yourself. Or, a couple of coins here or there, light a candle, light some incense, make a giant altar for them, say some flattering words.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not a specific something. Just yeah.
I bow to the woman who led me here, and I say, thank you very much. Are you connected? Are you the leader of this village?
I have survived the longest.
Excellent. And I take it you're a devotee of Velthara.
My loyalties are not for sale.
I nod and say, well, thank you for guiding me here, and I will just approach who looks to be the highest ranked member in this small area of Vilthara worshippers.
Yeah, well, you're looking around. There's these 6 armed guards. There's the old woman. There's a bunch of just other people around who have come to gather to watch. There's Kura, who's like gripping her staff pretty tightly in her one hand because she's surrounded by possibly violent people. You don't see anyone marked as a priest or a priestess or as a cleric. The small and makeshift nature of the shrine kind of gives off the vibes of like a communal space that is communally tended. You might not have a person who maintains it with rank.
Okay. I'll go up to the offering area and very visibly pull out a offering that I feel is, good enough. Kind of gauge the offerings that have been left here. I'm looking for like silver coin pretty much.
Oh, yeah. You do see coppers and silver coins left here. You see burnt incense. You see the remains of candles, some charred meat that was, offered on like a little, you can put a candle underneath a piece of brass and put the meat on it, and eventually, it'll cook the meat and burn and char the meat.
I see. I'm going for an amount that's not ostentatiously huge, but is a large. I'm getting from that description that maybe 2 silver would be enough.
Yeah, 2 silver's good.
All right, I plunk 2 silver down and I just start kneeling in front of the altar.
Mm-hmm.
And I close my eyes for a sec. And as I mentioned to the woman, do you have a cleric of Vilthara here? In this village?
The clerics are gone. They're all gone.
That seems very unfortunate.
Their
Well,
loyalties were for sale.
I take it would you like some... let me think about this. That is troubling. Do you happen to have any information on where I can find these clerics, or any information about this Idria?
Knowledge is power, and power is costly.
I nod and I agree. How much would be an acceptable amount for this knowledge?
1 bag, which would mean 50 coins. She just said a bag. She didn't specify what type of coinage. But,
Yeah.
what sort of money do you have on you?
I feel like there would be a mix instead of just, the pure amount, but...
Well, you were just given straight up coins, right? So you've got, it looks like 9 silver and 64 gold on your sheet.
Yes.
So you have 2 bags of coins. One of them's probably 50 gold, and the other's 14 gold and 9 silver mixed together. I would imagine. You can tell me.
Yeah. Man, I wish I had some copper.
Well, they are raiders. You know, you could give her a bag of copper, and that might not go over well. Or maybe that's all they expect. this is a very poor place, it looks like. Everything here is just made of like mud that they've baked in the sun.
Yeah, I mean, I am a merchant to some extent. Have I ever heard this terminology, one bag, before?
Yeah. It's kind of just a crude way of saying, like, you know, a lot.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those situations where you're counting by weight rather than being specific. So it has like a lower class quality to it, and also a sort of like nonchalant, give me whatever you got, give me all you're worth sort of value to it.
All right, I anticipate that this is going to be far more than they're asking for, but I will hand over the bag that has my 14 gold and 6 silver after my donation already.
Ooh. I've just rolled a die here. That is the check to, like, for her to size you up and try and value what you're worth as a person. And she's rolled really low, which means that she doesn't have a really good grasp on what you're worth, which is very favorable to you in this moment, because you hand over a bag with gold and silver, and it's not a full bag, but it does have gold in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with this poor judgment roll, I think she doesn't realize that you've got more money. And I think, unfortunately, she accepts it. She was looking for a full bag of gold.
Oh, that is quite a lot.
Yeah, well,
what she was expecting.
I mean, she's got you surrounded in her village with a bunch of soldiers, and they are raiders by nature. So she was looking for 50 gold. But when you hand over... So who carries like multiple pounds of money on your chest? Your full bag of gold is probably in your backpack. This one's on your waist. And so you hand over everything you've got, and she looks at it, and it's kind of sad. And she looks to Kura, who doesn't carry any money and sees no purses on her belt, and accepts that this is all of your cash, unfortunately. Wah, wah.
I would have thought this was a huge amount of money.
No. You can see the disappointed look on her face. But it's less disappointed and more like, this is all you're worth? Like, this is what you've got?
I look at her in surprise and say, isn't this a lot? This seems like an exceptional amount of money to be paying for information. But I do so because I seek your wisdom.
Seek, and I shall deliver. Did you already ask your question?
Oh, go on. Where is this Idria? And if you do not know, or sorry, do you know about Idria? And if you do not know about Idria, do you know about the clerics of Velthara, who may be able to tell me about this Idria?
All right, we're gonna make a intelligence check for her. How well can she retain information about the things that are happening around her? How often does she seek information about the things that are going around here? It's just going to be summarized as one intelligence check because rolling dice is fun. She's got pretty good int, but she doesn't roll particularly well. So she doesn't have the exact answers you're looking for, but she does know of this Idria fellow. And so she will point her finger southeast down the coastline and say, 4 villages hence, you shall find what you seek.
Very good. Thank you. I walk back to my boat.
Okay. They let you go. They keep the soldiers near at hand with spears ready, just in case anyone tries anything at the last moment. And once you get into your boat and you're, 30 feet from shore, you can hear them begin to laugh happily amongst themselves, pat each other on the back for a job well done. and they watch you go after having robbed you for all that you're worth. Yes.
I tell the crew here. Do any of you have change for some gold? I'm looking for silver and copper.
Yeah. Someone will break 5 gold for you and give you 50 silver. If that's what you want.
Yes, perfect.
Great. People often like taking gold, usually because it's the other way around. Gold is easier to transport wealth in, so people are usually trying to trade for gold and get rid of all of their heavy silver and copper coins. So people are often willing to break currencies like that.
Got it. I'm looking for copper as well.
Oh yeah, sure. You can break a gold into 100 copper if you want.
Fantastic. I'll do that.
Do you want any more?
Nope, that's good. I'll have Cora carry some silver and copper on her, and
Okay.
like a gold.
So tell me how much to put on her character sheet and how much you're taking off yours.
It sounds like these pouches were expected to carry like 50.
50.
coins?
Yeah, that's about the comfortable weight of carrying money on you.
All right. I'm going to subtract 1 gold, 5 silver, and 44 copper.
All right. I've added that to her character sheet. We usually gloss over things like the bags that you carry your money in. You do not have an infinite number of them. You got paid in 100 gold, so I figure they gave you 2 bags of gold. You have spent one of your bags, so you can have 1 bag with money and the rest could just be like loose in your pack or in pockets or something. But if it comes down to it, for whatever reasons, you have physically 1 bag left.
Okay.
Yeah. It almost never comes up in gameplay, but I think we might be in an area, and I just want to make sure we're not like producing infinite leather bags out of our...
That's fine. I'll ask the crew if they've got a money bag.
Yeah, they're happy to sell you an overpriced money bag if you want it.
That's fine. I'll take it.
Yeah, economics. Price of a bag. Belt pouch cloth is a silver.
Cool. I'll pay him 10 copper for it.
Perfect. Excellent. All right, all said and done. You can hop on your boat, sail down the coast, counting 1, 2, 3, 4 villages, and put in at the next one. This one also does indeed have a breakwater, and as the boat kind of comes down the coastline, it's visible for quite some time, and now we're into the late morning, I believe. And these people here are definitely ready for you as you arrive. Similar situation where there are armed guards out front. This time we've got 8 armed guards. And a village leader who is a young man.
Give him a greeting. Hello, in a Cuban. Hello, I am Vincent Mapper. I've traveled from Pikes Point to your... Oh, did she say she had information about the clerics or about Idria?
She just said 4 villages down, you'll find the answers you seek.
I am looking for the... Are you the leader of this village?
Making my notes. The young man gives you a broad smile. Why, yes, indeed I am. My name is Sunny. Welcome to the Red Coast. I will happily collect all of your valuables now. Thank you very much. Thank you for bringing us wealth. We really appreciate it.
Of course, this is an exchange of information, correct? I will pay you some money. You will give me... you'll sell me information.
Well, we'll definitely take your money. That's for certain. We'll see about the information. Guards, would you relieve this man of that bag upon his waist, please. Thank you. Thank you so much, newcomer. Welcome to the Red Coast. We're raiders. We love to take your stuff from you. I can't believe you're such an idiot, but I'm so happy you are. And the 8 armed guards will begin to approach you, weapons out, looking to take your stuff. And Kura looks to you and grabs her staff. Like, is this where we fight? Is this where we do it?
I sigh and I say, we've kind of rehearsed this, knowing that they could be raiders. All right, give them your bag, Cora. The money I've given her, and I take off my own, heavy, full bag of mostly copper and silver, but there's a gold in there as well.
Excellent. Great. He looks to you. You have probably your spell components on you, and Kura has her armor. Well, you're on boats. You probably wouldn't carry your armor. Would you carry? I don't know. This is a good question. Would you have Kura armed in her armor or not? Because if it comes to a fight, you want it, but if she falls out of the boat, it's real bad for her.
If I remember right, it's chainmail?
It's chainmail, yeah.
We know we're going to a raiding village. She'd wear her armor.
Excellent. And your woman's armor, please. Thank you so much. We'd love to have that as well. It's not a request. Kura does not know the language, so she doesn't know what these words or gestures mean.
Look, I say, we're willing to hand you the money. It's a small cost of business, but the armor is a different story.
You're outnumbered. Wildly. We will drown you in the seas and take your things if that's what it comes to. Unless you think that somehow you're more capable.
Why, yes, I do believe I am. I have just given you this out of kindness because I believe this is the way things are done here. But if you ask me to do the other method, I am willing to show you just what we're capable of.
Please demonstrate your strength so that we know you are not full of hot air, he says, like beaming with a smile.
Very well, if you'll allow me to. I'll start casting a spell.
You begin chanting some words, maybe pulling a component out of your pouch. There's a hesitation amongst them, but they don't, anyone can pretend to be a wizard. There's a lot of bluster in that. What spell are you casting?
I think sleep is a really apt one to cast here. Cast sleep on the bundle of guards.
All right. You will put, 2d4 hit dice? 2d4 hit dice. So roll me a 2d4.
Let's see. Okay. 2d4 hit dice.
Oh, 7 hit dice worth of people, which in this case is 3 warriors. Just immediately kind of crumple to the ground, passed out. And the young man puts his hands up and goes, well, maybe you're a wizard after all. So wonderful to see you. And was that Drekisian I heard? And he switches to Drekisian. Welcome, fellows. I see you're here. You ask for information? What can I do?
I'll switch to Drekisian as well and say, yes. I'm looking for, please, of course, the money is yours, firstly, for your help. And we're looking for information about 2 things, both of what are leading to a man named Idria. Either information about Idria himself, or if I could talk to a cleric of Velthara.
Well, Idria is a cleric of Velthara. He did indeed used to live here. We have not seen him in some time, though.
Great. Can you tell me all about him? Are you walking me ashore here as I get ready to hop off with Cora?
Yeah, I think you're probably standing right near the edge of the water. Maybe on the boat. If you're on the boat, they will let you onto the shore, but not all the way up into the village. You're just kind of standing in the splash zone, in the beaming hot sun. Well, When the Megaries came and made great promises, we were receptive. Idria joined the ranks, became a cleric of Velthara, the great goddess of vengeance. And one day he said he found something better, something greater, and that he was going to go off in search of glory and fortune so that he may return it back home, and Velthara's vengeance would be fulfilled and we would all live wealthy as kings. But as you can see, he gestures around him, not much has changed. Idria is probably dead. Last we heard, he was headed to the Wormwood near Dragon's Peak in the distant lands of Mystria.
Is that before or after he started growing these black red scales on his neck? I asked him.
Well, that was certainly before. If the man lives to this day and is covered in black red scales, then let me tell you, that is not who he once was.
How long ago did you know him?
I have known him all my life. He was the wise man of our village. And when he left, I inherited the role. It was handed down to me. He said Velthara saw something in me and that I should lead our people henceforth, which is why I now rule the village.
I see. Well, I've come a long way to seek out information about this man.
You say he lives?
He does.
Well, then he has broken all his promises to us, and we shall seek our vengeance on him. Tell me, where is this man so we may cut him down?
I have some good news. I also seek vengeance against him. Perhaps you can let me enact the vengeance for you. He killed my most precious friend. He boiled him alive in a pot.
Terrible. Fantastic. Brutal.
But yes, any information you can give me about him will help. Tell me all about him. I want to know his life story.
His life story? Born on the Red Coast, here in this very village, Idria served not as a warrior, but as a lowly fisherman. You may not know this, but they are the lowest of our people. They toil in the waters, creating food because they lack the courage to wield brass and bronze and bring down our brazen enemies. But when the great knights of Drekis came a-calling and gathered round the various villages of the Red Coast and promised us wealth and riches if only we would work with them, and we said yes, Idria was one of the many who the cleric Anton said had the gift and was capable of becoming a cleric if only he applied himself. Now, that does say much about the man Idria, that he was a lowly fisherman who could have been a cleric if only he had tried, and it wasn't until someone came and pushed him that he fulfilled his fate and destiny. Cleric he did become. Many wives he did gather, stolen. Such a rough word. Captured, pilfered, pillaged, looted from Redview and Black Beach, which are islands in the shallow sea. We have his daughter here. He kind of motions to one of the huts behind him somewhere. Some years after Lord Anton came and went, he came again, bringing or calling all the clerics to him. Idria did not heed the call. Idria said that his chosen role as Velthara's servant kept him here, once again too afraid to venture forth, too afraid to seek what should be his, so he stayed behind. He stayed behind until a traveler came one day. A traveler from Mystria, who came to the village seeking former followers of the now dead Anton McGarry, and spoke words in Idria's ears. And once again, Idria has picked the coward's route and left us behind, saying only that he would seek the Wormwood and Dragon's Peak, that he needed to seek and speak with those therein, that he would come back, with greater wealth, greater power, and that our village would no longer be a backwater. And that was years ago.
It seems like... What a scumbag. He's broken his promise to you. And I know amongst your people, promises carry a large weight.
You say you know where he is. Tell me, so I may find him.
Yes, he lies just to the south on Embershore of the Spice Islands.
In Volutin.
Yes.
And you say he has scales?
He does.
From where do these scales come?
Just right on the neck here, I point. Most disturbing.
And what is he doing in Embershore?
He's trying to do some crazy ritual. Summon a dragon from underneath Embershore or some such. I fear he may have lost his marbles.
A young man named Sunny considers summon a dragon. Have we not had enough dragons in this world? Then again, maybe this is his vengeance. Maybe he is summoning a dragon to rid the world of our enemies, to loot the lands, to bring it back to us.
I got the feeling from talking to him that he's forgotten all about his roots. I think about if Scoria did anything bad to the red area here.
Maybe, possibly. She did a bunch of bad things all over the place, but this is one of those small, out-of-the-way places that you would know about.
I fear the destruction caused by Scoria would be much larger here because it is so much closer to Embershore. It would be a shame if his crazy ritual actually had any merit to it.
Well then, you're going to put a stop to this?
Yes, I will.
Then let us join you. Let us go to Embershore this very day and bring him down. We'll put his head on a little pike and dance it around the village. And while we're there, we'll take what we please. Have you ever gone a raiding before? It's most fun. You would enjoy it.
I've been on similar trips. I asked him, do you think he still holds his daughter in high regard? Do you think he has a connection to his daughter? Or has he abandoned her?
What father does not love his daughter, but at the same time, Idria the coward, Idria who has pushed all away, who has left everything behind? I don't know. But but I like this idea of using his daughter as leverage.
Yes, we should bring her along as well. I think about...
Let's bring her to Volutin, and if he's not there, we'll put her in a large pot of water, set it over a small fire, and let it slowly boil her alive. And surely that will give him enough time and motivation to show himself, whereupon we can cut him to ribbons.
That's good. I like the way you think. However, my vengeance is directed very, very particularly at just Idria. I'd hate to see the villagers get hurt. Can we limit it to just Idria?
We'll certainly get them to roll over, show their bellies, and we'll take their stuffs and leave them more or less in peace.
This is a pretty good offer. I'm thinking about it. Will this fix everything? It's a pretty good solution. All right. I think I will take you upon your very generous offer. Did you want a day to prepare, or did you want to today?
Let us go post haste. We shall gather our men and set sail in less than a hand in the sky's time. What's about an hour? Less than a hand in the sky's time.
Do I know about how long the trip to Embershore would take from here?
It's a great question. You are about here. So less than a third of a day. So less than probably like 3 hours. If you can go directly, if you got to like sail along here, maybe 6 hours. So you'd get there in the late afternoon.
Have you, I mean, I imagine raiders such as you have raided the Spice Islands before.
Countless times.
Hasn't Idria sometimes dealt with you all?
He shrugs.
I've heard that sometimes he appears and casts magics at the raiders.
Not all parties that go a-raiding come home, but better to die in service of your village than to sit. And he looks down the coast, you know, a few hundred feet away to where there are people with nets who are like catching fish out of the little shallow area. Better to die serving your village than to toil in the waters.
I see. Well, this is quite fortunate. I possess magics that may be able to simply paralyze Idria. If you cut him down, we will...
Do you need a day to prepare your magics? We understand that clerics and wizards alike need time to pick their spells.
Think about it. I may not have the best spell list for today. Then we can set it to tomorrow.
Tomorrow it is.
Excellent.
Welcome, he says, pointing to the village.
I'm going to... This conversation has gone in a very interesting direction. I'd like to know how genuine he is about essentially raiding and killing this Idria.
All right, so let me just roll his stats real quick here. Ooh, okay. So about his willingness to raid, why don't you give me a charisma check?
Yep.
You roll a 26. You think he is being truthful about wanting to raid the village? What was the other thing that he said that you wanted to get a read on?
To, I guess, kill Idria. Came down to it.
Yeah, give me another charisma check here.
Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely telling the truth. He really does want to raid this village, and he really does want to kill Idria. Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, 2 truths. That's pretty good results.
Do you have a shrine to the goddess of vengeance here that we may ceremonially pray for our victory and vengeance tomorrow?
Absolutely. And he will take you in. It's another sort of 4-walled with a roof mud brick hut. It's just a little shelf that kind of sticks out and a little mud carving of Velthara and another ceremonial. This time it's not a dagger, but it's like the head of a spear with the rest of the spear chopped off, stuck into the wall, and some little bowls. It's very similar to the other village.
Okay. Very good. Will you be able to lodge me for the night then?
Do you not have a vessel
Oh, I
upon
do.
the waters?
I do. It's just I wanted to get closer to you all so we could strategize and plan for our raid and for killing of Idria.
Sure. He'll take you to a hut that looks like it's been turned into somewhat of a prison. And you'll see inside is someone he introduces as Idria's daughter. He tells you that the hut and all within it are yours.
Thank you very much. I try to get the implication of whether or not Idria's daughter is a property.
Yeah, it looks like she is sort of a non-free individual who is now here just stuck in this hut that is probably maltreated as like a proxy for their dislike of Idria himself.
Oh, okay. So this has happened before I came here.
Yeah, she's been imprisoned for a while.
Got it. Very good. Thank you for your hospitality. I'll let, does he give a sense of how big, I'll ask, how big is the raiding party going to be?
We will gather together 30 strong backs.
Great. We will challenge Idria directly by bringing his daughter, and the man will either come out himself or he'll be seen as a coward amongst the island. Both of which are a win.
Excellent. They will prepare. They'll call in, whoever they can. They'll spend the night getting, sharpening spears, patching up little bits of armor, pulling out whatever tools they need, gathering rope, finding, there's much discussion about like how big of a cauldron do they need. And then someone's like, well, didn't they just boil someone alive? There must be a cauldron already in Valutin. Well, let's just use Valutin's giant cauldron for boiling people alive. And yeah, so spears and axes and bows are gathered. It's just a matter of time letting you prepare your spells.
Nice. It seems like they'll be taking a number of ships for 30 people.
Yes, they will bring 3 vessels, and then the plan is to just beach them on the shores and run off altogether. And
sounds good. I'll add in that they should spread out the vessels because wizards have spells that have splash damage.
The question comes up, if as long as we're spreading vessels out, why don't we put an equal number of people on all the vessels, including yours, and you can also run your ship aground on Ember Shore. Now, this is not your ship. This is I don't know how you're going to persuade the owner of this ship that they should use it in an assault against Ember Shore and Valutin. That's a problem for you to resolve on your own, but these red coasters
I'm afraid that these are not raiders. These are civilians.
A civilian is just a raider who does not know it yet. Put a sword to their neck, and they shall soon behave compliantly.
Think about how many people our ship can carry.
Your ship could fit It is currently crewed by 6 folks, you know, captain all the way down to the lowest person. So it has 6. For a short journey like this, it could carry everyone, but they'd all be on top of the deck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, plenty of room.
I'll negotiate as a, sure, we can carry some of your people on. We'll row a bit further behind. These are non-combatants, but we will transport your people. Fair enough?
We need everyone to hit the shore at the same time. Waves upon waves of men sounds nice, but in practice, concentrated numbers are best.
Fine. We are the least, these are the less experienced raiders, so perhaps have us land at the furthest point away then.
Fine.
Great.
Now you're still gonna have to convince the people who actually own this ship to do this thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, participating in a raid is not their jam. Beaching their ship on a coastline, you know, means it might get stuck there for a while. It might cause some damage. It's generally like, you know, someone would not want to beach their ship on. Like, you can get it really fucked up. You can hit it against a rock or something and severely damage it. And this is their most valuable possession in the world. So asking them to do this is going to be...
Okay, I didn't realize beaching the ship was that bad.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough call to get them to do this and participate in a frontal assault on a warlock. Although they may not know about this. I don't know, I should say you don't know what they've been told about your purpose and mission. Maybe they're just told to transport you around. Maybe they've been given the whole story. How do you want to deal with this?
I'll let Sunny know. On thinking about it some more, I'm afraid that I cannot possibly ask these people to use their ship like that.
Why ask when you could just tell them?
I'm afraid I like them too much to do so.
I don't understand.
These people are from Akuba. You don't want to incur their wrath, do you?
I saw the Tezrohan flag.
Do you really want the Tezrohan family to increase their diligence over the Red Coast? Best to keep them out of this.
Have the mainlanders been so softened and weakened that they fear adventure, that they fear a fight? Are they that pitiful?
I think they just... It's a different kind of pitiful. They care about not scuffing up their boat. It is after all the possession of the powerful Tezran family. And who knows, they may come seeking boat damages later on.
Sunny thinks. You're Drekisian, yes?
I am.
Do you know any Drekisian merchants?
I do. I'd heard that some had been dealing the Red Coast. I have heard that, right? Mm-hmm. My boss deals with the Red Coast.
Yeah, he deals with anyone who will deal with him.
You may have heard of my boss, in fact. I'll name drop my boss. Lord Richard Marshall. I don't know if he... Although... No, actually, I don't name drop him. I'll say... I don't know if he goes off of his name here since he probably wouldn't want to be known. But my boss does do a little bit of merchanting up here.
Splendid. Splendid. Then we shall let that ship follow behind us, weigh anchor. And when we're done on Ember Shore, all shall be well.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. That's that.
Yeah.
I think unless we're about to go raid, or is there anything else? Or are we going to go raid Ember Shore right now?
I think
you're leaving in the
Idria's
morning.
daughter is a really good source of information about Idria.
Okay.
How old is she?
Let's see. It's the year 1522. So she is like 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's a kid. She looks a little malnourished. She looks like she hasn't had a bath or in a long time. Kind of scrawny. Really kind of a pitiful sight. I don't know how cold and heartless Vincent is, but this is, this is a child whose father has annoyed these people, and these people have decided to use her as a proxy for their malice. They've just been mistreating this kid who couldn't do anything anyway, who needs protection and is now just like stuck in this hut. The object of ridicule and probably rotten vegetables being thrown.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will treat her well and offer her, a good dinner when mine is prepared. I'll make sure she's well fed. And I'll let her know tomorrow we're going on a journey.
She looks at you with distrust in her eyes and keeps as great of a distance from you as possible in the hut. Well, Vincent, you've managed to keep the peace thus far. You've managed to prevent all-out war between these two nations. But in doing so, you've had to align yourself with some unsavory folks, which will probably keep the greater good intact. This kind of feels like something you've done a few times, right? The cabin boy on the ship you sacrificed to that necromancer to save everyone else. These raiders don't seem like good people. They certainly want to kill Idria. They've agreed to leave the people of Valutan mostly alone if they will roll over and give up all their wealth. They're definitely mistreating this child. How do you feel about this transactional approach to your problems? Is this a good? Is this like a utilitarian for the greater good thing, or is it beginning to weigh on Vincent?
This is very utilitarian. I thought you used the perfect word there. It doesn't get Drekis on the radar at all because this is just a Red Coast raiding party. Idria's dealt with. The lives of some worthless raiders are perhaps going to be used up. It's sad for some of the villagers of Valutan who may die in the defense, but a small price to pay.
Okay. And you are a known quantity in Valutan? Like, people have seen you. You did hang out there for a while. How are you going to keep them from recognizing that that you are a part of this raid? Right? If you want it to look like it was the Red Coasters, but they see you amongst them, wouldn't that make it at least run the chance of them blaming Drekis?
That is a good point. I will perhaps wear a hood. I will change my clothes. Got a different bodyguard.
That's true. You have a different bodyguard. You're wearing different clothes. And I know that if I see a friend or I run into a person that I've met once before, but they have a different haircut, I won't even remotely recognize them. So maybe they won't recognize you with the new bodyguard and the new clothes.
It's been months. And
it has been. Yeah.
Well, I probably made an impact when I first went there. It wasn't that memorable.
Okay. I mean, they did boil someone alive while you were there. That's pretty memorable.
Yeah.
What about this notion of boiling an innocent person alive?
Well, it's a farce. We're not actually going to.
Okay. You're just telling the raiders that that's what you're going to do, but you're not going to let it happen.
Yeah, I'll be the one to set up the fire and.
Okay. So you're kind of just you're leading them on with half truths.
Yes. Besides, we don't want her dead. That would ruin her ability as a hostage.
Right.
And for negotiation. So I'm sure they'll be on board with not immediately killing her.
Okay.
It is going to be mostly we'll put her in a pot. We don't start the fire, but we threaten to start the fire.
Got it. A lot of showmanship going on here then.
That's right.
Well, is there anything you would like to ask of the daughter? I know she's kind of young. Maybe doesn't know enough. Especially if her father's been gone for a long time. She might have only been 4 or 5 when he left. She probably doesn't know much about him.
Let's see. I'll basically treat her as a child and someone who doesn't know much, and I'll just say the part that she's going to play. We're going to put you on stage. It's going to be a show. Don't try to escape from the pot. Don't
try to escape from the pot. All right.
We'll be tying her up and, making sure she can't escape from the cauldron that could boil her alive.
Right. And what do you say to Kura, who's your new bodyguard in all of this? And who you told the worst thing that she was going to have to endure was that vampire on that boat, which might actually still be true. But now we're talking about raiding a warlock's base. She'll have questions like, wait, so if he's got spells, and we're in one of the 3 boats that's arriving.
One of the 4 boats. We'll be in the one in the back, Cora.
Okay. Well, are you expecting us to get in there and bash some heads? I'm a bodyguard. I'm not a raider. I'm not here to, go take people's things. I'm here to keep you alive.
Great. Just hang out near me. Keep me safe. When it comes down to it, we probably do need to bash just Idria's head.
All right, so you're not expecting me to go around, whacking innocent people upside the face?
No, of course not.
Yeah. You think we can trust these red coasters?
Not a bit.
I really don't think that they're being super honest with you about anything. I think if they get an opportunity to get us, they're going to get us.
They have their chance. Seems like their best chance is at the home turf instead of traveling over to Ember Shore. I don't think they will.
All right, but you're gambling with both of our lives. Now
I am, but I'm mostly gambling their lives.
Now tell me about this Idria dude. What sort of spells has he got?
Let's see. I've heard tales that he can hurl fire. Hopefully that's not fireball, but it might be. That's why we're in the back ships.
That's not great.
That's not great. He might not even be there when we arrive, though, which is why we'll have to put this kid in the pot. You and I will watch over her, make sure she doesn't escape the pot.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry, we're not actually going to set her on fire and boil
Well, I
her
sure
alive.
as hell hopes not. I ain't boiling no children alive, and I swears to gods, if you do set that pot on fire with that kid in it, I'm gonna bash your head in. Lord Marshall be damned.
Fair enough.
All right. But this warlock, this Idria dude, you said throws fire? Maybe fireballs, maybe not.
Yep.
Got dragon scales and a forked tongue?
Yeah.
Sounds real scary.
It's pretty scary, but it's all right. We've got 30 of us. I think about how many of them there are, the villagers.
30?
30 of us, less of them. Seems like these raiders are... I kind of size them up. Do they seem like... If they were to fight against the villagers, probably better, right?
Yeah, they're going to have 2d8 HP. They're going to have higher morale. The villages of Valuton are not like trained. I mean, there's probably a couple of like actual warriors amongst them, but by and large, they're villagers who are not working together to form like a coherent defense in theory. Some of them will. Certainly there's some fighters amongst them who will put up some sort of fight. They did have some chainmail. There were a couple of pieces of chainmail amongst them, and that's pretty good. That's 5 AC. The leather that these people have is only 3 AC benefit. Yeah, but raiders are successful for a reason.
Yeah. Okay. Seems great. Seems awesome.
All right, then. And I think with that, we should probably end here for the day because I'm going to need to prepare some battle maps for the... We're going to have to set up a nice sieging, raiding, fighting front. And that'll take a little time.
Yeah. Did I get a sense on meeting the raiders of who's most capable? Is it Sunny the leader?
Sunny's the leader, but he is like a political appointee. The raiders are going to be predominantly 2-hit die folks with maybe 2 third-level fighters amongst them.
Okay, great. I will have strategized with them that I am a wizard that can amplify their powers, and I'll be preparing spells to boost their power in combat.
Okay. Actually, not 2 third-level fighters. Each 30... 7, 4... It's gonna be... Wait, sometimes 3 plus. It's gonna be 30 people. 4 of them are third-level fighters.
Oh.
Yeah, and so each of those 4th-level fighters will have either 6 or 7 people beneath them. So it'll be like one third-level fighter leading 6 to 7 raiders, and they're broken up over 3 ships. So one of those groups is going to be sort of... Actually, it's broken up over 4 ships. So each boat will have a 4th-level fighter and 6 or 7 individuals underneath them.
Okay, sweet.
Okay. Great. Well, come tomorrow. We will be next week in the real world, tomorrow in game. We will be probably getting very close to the end of Rise of Drekis Chapter 5. We'll raid Embershore. We'll raid Valuton. We'll look for Idria. He's supposed to be a scary warlock. We'll hope this doesn't cause all of the Spice Islands to be set aflame, but if it does, so be it. And you still have to make sure you get that magic boat, right?
Yep.
That's, yeah. Any other objectives?
I remember there's magical stuff in his cave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've done pretty much exactly as what's his name? The dragon has told me to do. So
Brimstone?
he should be. Yes, Brimstone
Yeah.
should be happy with what I've done.
Yeah, what did he tell you to do?
He told me to find information about Idria, and I have gotten his whole backstory practically, while also not going to Mystria as he desired. Because
Why did he desire that?
who knows?
Okay.
Perhaps because he fears McGarry.
He doesn't want to incur the wrath of the Lord Imric McGarry, the King of Mystria, and his pet gold dragon. That seems like a bad couple to.
Yeah, makes sense
piss
that
off.
he would be against Lord Imric McGarry's plan to just teleport in, assassinate him, and then teleport out. That sounds like a pretty good plan.
Got it. And when you do kill Idria, are you intending, if you do manage to kill him, do you intend to talk to Brimstone again?
Sure. Yeah.
What are you gonna serve Brimstone?
I set up the seeds earlier that I'm willing to be not a full-time servant, but contractor, a translator, a friend, not a servant.
A friend to the Red Dragon.
Friend's perhaps a bit of a strong word. A business partner.
Business partner. Okay. Cool.
Associate. Yes.
So excellent. Well, we'll find out what's going to happen next week on Rise of Drekis Chapter 5. Good night.